Hello, a bodacious, ginormous welcome to everybody to this Fantasy Premier League special with a very special guest. If I'm the Roy Hodgson of Fantasy Premier League managers doing boring things, not very successfully, then my guest today is the great genius. I mean, the Johan Cruyff, the man who won last year's Kop On Super League, none other than Niclas Linde. Nicholas, how the devil are you today? Are you okay? Did you survive? Did you have a heat wave in Sweden or not?
Yeah. Yesterday was one of the warmest day in 75 years in Sweden, actually. So we
Wow,
had 35 degrees here where I live.
35.
Yeah,
Man, we've all got to get together, don't we, to try and save the planet. But before then, let's all
definitely.
pick our fantasy Premier League table
Yeah,
teams or whatever.
yeah.
Priorities, Nicholas. Priorities. Okay.
Let's
But
forget all
no,
our other problems. So
exactly.
yeah,
So, apparently, you've done a lot of homework and you've been preparing some do's and don'ts for our listeners, right?
yeah,
What are some of the rules that people should follow when they're picking their fantasy Premier League teams?
yeah. I've tried to write down the best advice that I got the last year or so. I started getting more serious with FPL before last season. Was the first season I really tried to figure out how to be good at it, and try to listen to as many podcasts as possible and go on Twitter, where there's a big community, of course, with FPL people and experts. So I just tried to get it down in 10. I have 10 different pointers, actually.
10 of them. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Go
um,
ahead.
I think the best one is to transfer out your worst player, and that may seem pretty obvious, but usually you tend to just think about which player you want for the next round instead of looking at your own team, and you should instead look at your weakest link and eliminate the weakest link. And if you do that all the time, you will get a better and better team. So you improve it long term instead of just going for the last shiniest toy in the department store.
I like it. I like the idea but when you say your worst player, right? I mean, for
Yeah,
example, goalkeepers, like goalkeeper strategy, isn't it better to have one absolutely terrible goalkeeper that you'll never pick and,
yeah,
Allison or, as your number one throughout the season? Or,
yeah,
so when you say your worst player, I mean, mine, I can't remember
yeah,
his name. There's someone called
yeah,
Matthews or something like that. Matthews,
yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Remy
Yeah,
Matthews of
I'm.
Crystal Palace.
Yeah. Of course, I usually have two really stinking players on the bench that are not worth anything, but it's good to have at least one good bench player usually.
Okay. But so when you say
So
your worst player, you don't mean the kind of stocking filler kind of player. The
yeah,
garbage. They're not. I mean, I like stocking fillers. I like Satsumas and things like that. But no,
yeah,
the complete the rubbish players. You don't mean those. You mean the ones that are in the team but are not performing. Is that right?
yeah, those in the starting 11 that are not
Okay.
performing,
Okay. Great.
or maybe they are. If you can see maybe that they are performing in the stats, so but they just had some bad luck, and if you see they have good stats, then maybe you should keep them around for a little longer and give them another shot. But if someone really looks tired when you look at the games and the stats have gone down, then it's time to sell them, I think. So
Excellent. So that's
yeah,
rule number one. Transfer out your worst player, your worst performer that's in your starting 11. Great one. What's the next one?
yeah. You should. Especially last year, it was important to hold your transfers until after the press conferences on the Friday. So you have all the possible information that you can have before you make your transfers.
That's a great thing. Yeah, great idea.
Easy to say, but more difficult to do. Maybe you get if you see someone perform in the weekend, you might get an urge to transfer them in immediately, and maybe try to catch them before they have a how do you say price rise?
Increase. Yeah, a price
increase.
hike, a price increase. Yeah, before their price goes up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, does that mean you haven't picked any team until you're waiting until after the press conferences for the first weekend of the Premier League, or do you already have a little bit of a team?
Yeah, I already have a plan usually, but it's just good to know that all your players are fit before you make your choice. So.
Great idea. Okay, what's the next one?
Yeah.
Oh, and if you've got any comments, people watching live on YouTube, please let them know. Doug is here and Gary's here. Hi, Doug. It's great to have you with us. Doug saying hello, Owen and Niclas. It's great to have you with us. And we get a tally-ho Reds from Gary Richards. Great to have you with us too, Gary. And anyone else who's watching and everyone who's listening. Big warm welcomes to all of you. So, okay, what's the next rule that we should bear in mind, Niclas?
Yeah, one of my mistakes last year was I made a last-minute big decision somewhere around game week 26, I think. My plan was always to have my triple captain card ready for Mo Salah when he had his brilliant double game week. But for some reason, I listened to a podcast and they had the idea to wild card in game week 26 instead, and I thought it made sense. So without really considering everything, I made one of these last-minute big decisions and thought I had genius master plan ready. But I think it's better to do that calmly and quietly, and not in the last minute the same day. So
yes, okay. So you need to
pretty obvious also, but it's good to remember these things.
No, I mean, so I mean, obviously, the triple captain is always best to play when you've got a double game week. I mean, it's best off to wait as long as possible because because of COVID cancellations last season, there were actually triple game weeks, weren't there, for some teams?
Yeah.
So maybe this season, because COVID's still a thing, it still exists, maybe hopefully in a milder form for everybody, but it could play into. So, would you suggest waiting to play your triple captain until the second half of the season, or not necessarily?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's usually best to always play the waiting game and use your cards in the end of the season, except for the first wild card, of course, which should be made in the first half of the season. But the other ones are usually good to save for a double game week.
Because aren't there 3 wild cards this season or something? Or how many? I don't know. I thought
unlimited transfers after the World Cup. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you play your wild card in the first half of the season before the World Cup. That's good to know as well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could make an early wild card this year. Maybe target the first 3 or 4 game weeks. Maybe with the players that have good fixtures. The 3 or 4 first weeks, and then you can have an early wild card probably this year.
Wow, very nice. Yeah, good strategy. Okay, what else have you got on your list of superb advice, sage advice?
Be careful with taking hits unless you see a big upside with taking the hits. If there's a double game week and you think some player could haul massively, then of course it's no problem to take a -4 for that. But otherwise, I think it's good to be very restrictive with the hits.
Yeah, well done. And just to explain, if people don't understand what that is, if you make 2 transfers in, well, any number of transfers more than one, you get 1 free transfer for every game week. But if you make a second one, then you get a hit of -4 points. And this is something that I did all the time because I was always tempted to try and, pick whoever was playing a bad team. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I started on -8 because I was absolutely convinced that Leeds, for example, would concede, 5 goals every game. But, it was actually quite a bad strategy. So, yeah, okay. So you're saying have faith in your players. Don't take this -4 or -8, in my case, hit so lightly. Okay. Great.
Yeah,
one.
I think FPL points are pretty hard to come by. So it's usually a bad idea with the -4, I think, to start the game week off with that. Unless there's a double game week, then you can make massive strides when you use the hits also. So, yeah.
Okay, good to know. Okay, next one.
Yeah, next one. A lot of people look at the XG and the XA, the expected goals and expected assists that players accumulate. I think it's also important to look at the shot volume, the number of shots that the midfielders and attackers are having each game. If your attacker is only shooting once or twice per game, it's pretty hard to see them make more than 1 goal or even 1 goal. So if you look at the stats, you should see how many shots a player is taking at the moment, or the last 5 or 6. Sorry, my telephone.
That's okay. You can answer it.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if it's if it's important, if it's your mum wanting you to go to the shop or something, you can answer it. No worries.
Yeah, it's all right. I know what it is. It's no problem.
Okay. So shot volume is important. So let's say, for example, I mean, how would that translate into the real world? So let's say, for example, because it depends who they play, doesn't it? Like, if you've got a midfielder, if you've got someone like Mahrez playing against Nottingham Forest, say, then he's going to get a lot of shots. But you're saying look at it over a number of weeks, how many shots Mahrez is taking compared to, for example, Bernardo Silva. And that will give you an idea about which one is the better pick for the next match. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Usually good to look back on the last 6 game weeks or something like that.
And are there sites that give you that data, or is it just you just use the data that's on the FPL app, the Premier League app?
Yeah. Last year I was a member of one of these communities. It's, I don't know if I should give them, how do you say?
Give them a plug.
A plug them.
Yeah. You can, of course, you can if you want, unless you want to keep it secret. If it's a secret group like the Freemasons,
I used Fantasy Football Hub last year.
Okay.
I got a membership there, and they have an app with these stats. And, they also give you advice on which players to trade in for the coming weeks and which players are expected to get the most points in the. You could look at the next 4 weeks or so. So you're not just looking at the next game week. So you could make your transfer more long term.
Great.
I mean, there's other sites like that, like Fantasy Football Scout. I'm sure if you Google, you can find several. I don't know if you know any good stats page which is free that you can use instead.
Well, I mean, because the ones I use aren't really geared towards fantasy football. They're just like general stats. I mean, fbref.com is one that I always use on Kop On, and then there's some brilliant ones. There's SofaScore, WhoScored.com, all very useful. WhoScored.com, for example, would be good to check week by week. If you look at the player statistics for all of the different matches, then
Yeah.
you can see how many shots they're taking, for example, for the shot volume.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's a good idea to join like specific fancy football groups. That's really good. I can see we've got some questions coming in the chat as well, which we'll get to maybe in a bit. We'll go through all the different tips and then we'll come back to it. Just Alan's here. Hello, Alan. Great to have you with us. He says, I'm coming for your title this year, Nicholas. Are you scared? Are you a little bit intimidated from Alan there?
Yeah, I'm going to need all my luck from last year, I think, to keep my place. But yeah,
of course,
looking
we're all
forward to the
coming
fight,
for
at least.
Yeah, good. Excellent stuff. Excellent. The undisputed king of the Kop On Super League is here, Nicholas. So what's next? What's next on your list?
Let's see.
After shot
Yeah,
volume.
it's not rocket science, this, but it's good to target nailed players that you are certain that they will start each game. I think it's pretty horrible to choose these Man City players. They are all excellent players, but you never know which one is going to start, except for Cancelo. And I think Haaland this year should be a starter if he's fit, at least. I think he had a niggle now, but and Ederson in goal will probably be my goalkeeper this year, I think. So you
He
can
was
tap
mine
in on
last year. And he's a good one. Like, he doesn't make that many saves because City don't concede many chances. So he doesn't have to make many saves. So he doesn't get many bonus points for making saves, but he's just, often a clean sheet, isn't he? So he's quite a steady one to have. And as you say, always selected compared to Foden and Mahrez, Grealish. They've got so much talent, even having sold Sterling. So, yeah, good point. Good point.
So
okay.
That's what's good with Harry Kane also. If that's a player that you should look at his shooting stats, how many shots he's getting per game. If he gets a lot of shots at the moment, you should probably try to get him in your team, I think. And he had a pretty good preseason so far. So I would almost prefer him before Haaland now, actually.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen any of Tottenham's preseason. Has he scored 4 in 45 minutes like Darwin Núñez?
No, Darwin also looks good now. But I don't know. There's so many Liverpool players that you want. So I'm not sure he's getting the spot anyway. But
well, that's it. Making sure you choose a player who starts. I mean, I provisionally got Darwin in my team. We'll go through. You're going to help me choose a team as we go through this podcast. So stick with us and we'll go through all the different options. But at the moment, I've got Darwin in my team. But then the more I think about it, the more I think, well, Klopp likes to ease people in. So he's likely to play Firmino and Diaz and Salah to start. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about all that in a bit. But yeah, no, it's really good advice. Make sure you choose a player who starts. There you go. I've broken that rule with Darwin in my team. What's the next one?
I touched it before, but don't worry about your team value. That we talked about players getting the price increases and that you want to trade them in quickly before the increase in price. But it's probably not a good idea to do your transfers early just to get your team value up. If you make good transfers long term, you will have a improved team value anyway. So a lot of people stress about that. So I think that's not the best thing to focus on.
Yeah, okay. So don't worry too much about your team value. But I mean, it's probably a good idea to get, someone like Trent in early, even though he is the most expensive defender, 7.5 million. That will presumably go up the more assists he makes, right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he should be 9.5 or something like that.
Wow, by the end of it, okay.
Yeah, he's underpriced already, so he's a must-have in your team, I think.
Yeah, okay.
And Robertson also.
And about team value as well. I mean, one thing that I always do is sort of like obsessively is make sure that, well, not make sure, I just always end up with zero balance in the bank. And I wonder if that's like advisable to try and use all the money you can to get the most expensive players, or you could look, because there's a lot of good value in midfield. For example, there's Pedro Neto, 5.5 million. Wolves that have got some really, on paper, easy fixtures in the first 6 games. So he could be a great buy. So you could have a midfield of Neto and Luis Diaz and players who are not so expensive, but they're really, they might rack up the points. I don't know. Do you spend time? Do you always end up on 0, or do you keep some money in the bank?
I'm pretty happy if I have like 0.5 saved in case I want to make a transfer for a player that just had a price increase of 0.1 maybe. So then that's not a problem in the next round.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Okay. Are there more things on your list?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You were going to say something else?
It slipped away from my mind, I think. No.
Okay.
I'll take the next point instead.
Nice comment, because you mentioned Trent and Robbo. Of course. Great to have you with us. Says Trent and Robbo are always a must, and it's not red tinted glasses. I mean, you mentioned Trent and Robbo. Are they always a must for you? You have to get both of them?
Yeah, this year it is. And I regret I didn't have both of them last year.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
This year for sure.
Yeah, of course. Okay, this year for sure. Okay, there you go. Trent and Robbo are a must. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And while we are talking about defenders, we can take the next point. When you look at defenders, you can focus on the team XG and find out which team has the lowest XGC, expected goals conceded. And then try to target maybe the cheapest defender in that defense, so you can get a good value. Like Wolves maybe last year didn't concede a lot of goals, so they had some pretty good value in defense for a while there.
Yes,
before they tailed off. Yeah. So if you need a cheap defender, you can look at the team XG and see how the teams are performing.
Excellent advice. That's very good. Okay, super.
Yeah.
Marvelous. I don't have any questions about that. That makes total sense. Okay, keep going. What's next on the list?
I think it could be pretty good to start the season with some safe choices, like I said, that are starting and that have played in the Premier League before. Other players that are new to the league can look very promising, but it's always an adaptation in the beginning. So I'm a bit cautious about the new guys. Darwin, even though he looks amazing, of course, and I want him in my team because he's a red, but maybe I'm a bit cautious about him, and also Haaland, actually, despite him being world class also.
Why Haaland, though? I mean, that's surely, if he's fit, he's going to score 10 goals every game, isn't he?
Yeah, but I'd rather have Son in my team, I think, because he gets 1 more point for each goal he makes, and also he gets the point for clean sheets, and that Son is going to start each game and play almost 90 minutes at least. So,
and I believe with Son, he after Conte got in, he scored something like 210 points under Antonio Conte. So that wasn't at the start of the season. That was from, whenever he came in, October, November, whenever it was. And it was much more than any other player. So Son under Conte has been the best Fantasy Premier League player. Okay. So that's good to know. So safe choices with PL experience. So stay away from Darwin is your advice. Interesting.
Yeah, and maybe
makes sense. Okay.
Don't try to squeeze in too many differentials. I wouldn't focus so much on getting differentials, at least not in the beginning of the season.
What is a differential? What do you mean?
A differential is a player that has very low ownership, maybe 10% or lower in ownership. Maybe you want some players, maybe 1 or 2 in your team that have a low ownership, so that you can, how do you say?
You can score points when you can score points when no one else does, because you have an advantage from that. Okay.
Yeah, you can stand out from the crowd. So
okay. Yeah, great. Good advice as well. Yeah.
I think it's also you probably need Trent and Salah, Son, some of these safe choices that a lot of people will own.
Okay.
So if you don't have them and they haul a lot of points, then you will be in big trouble. So
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That got me a couple of times last year when I was taking risks by, choosing the non-premium players, and I lost a lot of points because had I had gotten with the obvious, Harry Kane, for example, then I would have, scored a lot more points.
It's
but yeah,
a terrible feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is a terrible feeling. All right. But okay. Good one. What else have you got?
I think I'm done there, actually.
You're done. That's the list. So that's absolutely wonderful. Okay. Well, we'll get to some questions in a moment. Just as a recap. Okay. So we've got, okay. Number 1 was transfer out your worst player. Okay. Transfer out your worst player every week. The one that you started, who's not doing very well. Look at the form. And if he's not getting enough points, then bin them.
I mean, focus on your own team and try to make your own team better. Don't just look at which players you want mostly at this time.
Excellent. Okay. And then don't make transfers until after the press conferences. So, you know who's injured and who isn't. The next one's play your triple captain wisely. And also play your wild card early this year, because you're getting an extra one after the World Cup. And that was a question from Doug, who says, unfortunately, he says, I always play my wild card way too late. He says, when should you play your wild card this year? You mentioned before, like the 3rd or 4th game week, maybe?
Yeah, I think it could be good to do that, because then you see a little bit with all the new players how they are performing. If Gabriel Jesus is having a good time at Arsenal, or if it was just a bit of luck in preseason. And also you can see if Haaland is up and running at Man City. And you get a lot of information the first 3 or 4 weeks that could be good to use them as quickly as possible. So,
excellent.
Okay. And you can also look for some fixture swings, like they say. Maybe I don't really have one as an example now, but you could try to target when you see that a good team will have a good run from week number 6, then maybe you want to get 3 of their players at that time. So maybe then it's good to wildcard at that particular game week.
Yeah, great. Good advice. Okay, and then don't take a hit lightly. Don't do what I do and just, transfer out players just willy-nilly. Have faith in your lads. Shot volume is important. Make sure you choose a player who starts, okay? Make sure you choose the starters, not the main course or the dessert. Don't worry too much about your own team value. And defenders, the lowest XGC, expected goals against or expected goals conceded, it really counts. So yeah, you can choose a cheap defender if their whole team has low XGA or XGC. Very good. And lastly, safe choices. Get someone with PL experience, and also someone like Son. He's a surefire winner. Excellent stuff. What I'm going to do now, because I've made a few examples of teams, and I'm going to share my screen for people who are watching, and I'm going to explain a little bit about my strategy behind, why I did it. But hang on, let's Let's try and find it. Here we are. This one, share. So with the first team, okay, my sort of overall strategy was to have a big defence, and then I just really wanted Mo Salah plus 4 midfielders, any more midfielders, and I really wanted Haaland, but for Haaland you can replace him with Kane. I just had Haaland plus 2 dogs in attack because I wanted to just play like a 4-5-1 all season, or a 5-4-1 maybe. So my defence is good. I've got Alisson in goal, Reece James, Trippier, Cancelo, Nico Williams as a cheap option who probably won't play because I'll be going 4-5-1, and Alexander-Arnold. So there you go. And then in midfield, I've got Gallagher, who I think is going to have a good season, Bruno Guimaraes, Mo Salah, Big Mo, Saka, who's on penalties and set pieces for Arsenal, and Bernardo Silva, who at only 7 million was, the best points maker for City in midfield, I think, last season. Maybe him, I think so. And Haaland up front with, 2 dogs, Greenwood of Leeds, not the other one, and Dane Scarlett, who's never going to ever play again for Spurs because he's the understudy to Harry Kane. So this is a pretty poor strategy then? Is it just because I spent all my money on Haaland, Salah, and a top defence, and the rest of the players aren't good? What do you make of this team, Nicholas?
No, I like it pretty much, actually. Maybe,
Okay.
but I would probably try to get Robertson in the defense.
Okay.
And then I would have to change Alisson maybe to Mendy.
To Mendy, why? Oh, just to have an extra Liverpool player. Yes, okay.
Yes, so we don't have. Oh, but you don't only have. Yeah, we can only have 3 Liverpool players. So
yes,
that's
okay,
why.
okay, yeah, of course, okay, very good.
I think there's but it's nice, I don't know if Gallagher is really nailed on to start for Chelsea, though. That could be a problem,
yes. But with one attacker, just one very expensive attacker and 2 of the cheapest ones for 4.5 million. I mean, is that a good idea or not?
I like that. I think attackers were really poor. Last year it was difficult to get any points from attackers. So I think a 5-4-1 or a 4-5-1 is probably the best. But who knows?
Well, I mean, which players usually make all the points? It's usually midfielders make more points than defenders, right?
Yeah, but if you look at points per million, the top defenders usually have the best points per million. So I think it pays off to have a lot of premium defenders like Trent, Cancelo.
Okay.
If you compare Trent, he was the 3rd highest point scorer last year, and he costs only 7.5. So
that's true.
That's huge value. And Nico Williams, I think, is a gift. 4.0, and he must start now when Nottingham has paid 17 million for him.
Yeah, 17 million apparently, and he's going to take some stuff. I think he's a really good player, and I like the way they got the other old Liverpool boy Taiwo Awoniyi up front. So I think he could provide some good service for them. But let's move on to number 2. The strategy behind this one was to make sure I had Trent and Cancelo in defence, and Mo and Son plus 3 in midfield, and then the same thing with Haaland plus 2 dogs, or Kane plus 2 dogs. So it's exactly the same. I've got Haaland, Greenwood, and Scarlett up front. But this midfield, I've gone for Son, Bruno Guimaraes again, Salah, Keita, and Martinelli. Yeah. And then at the back, I've gone Cash, Trippier, Cancelo, Alexander-Arnold, and Nico Williams, with Martinez in goal because I couldn't afford Alisson or anything like that. So there you go. What do you think of this team? Is this better?
Yeah. I think the other one was a bit better actually, but I like the Cash and Trippier as shouts there. They're good shouts, I think.
They're good shouts. Well, what's this team lacking then compared to the other one? The other one had Bernardo, it had Saka, so maybe the midfielders are a bit more dangerous in the first team.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure about Keita and Martinelli. I'm not sure he's really nailed on anymore. They have some pretty tough competition on the left flank in Arsenal.
Okay.
I saw they started with someone else there
Okay. In the preseason.
lately,
Okay.
so I think they have like 3 options, Martinelli
Okay.
and 2 other guys. So I'm not sure how many minutes he'll get.
Yeah, so maybe Keita and Martinelli. Neither of them are going to start, maybe. Yeah, okay. All right. The next team, what was my logic? To have Ali in goal, Cancelo and Trent in defence, but no stars in midfield or attack. So I didn't go for any stars so that I can get more value, more bang for my buck in midfield. So I've got Allison in goal. I've got a pretty strong defence of Cash, Trippier, Cancelo, Trent and Reece James. Midfield, I've got Bowen, Bernardo, Luis Diaz, Saka, and Maddison. And then up front, I've got Jesus, Havertz, and my favourite dog, Dane Scarlett, 4.5 million, just to have one very cheap player. But the rest of them are, should make points most weeks. No, I don't know. But I mean, is it a good idea to not have any stars, or is that just generally a bad idea?
I think you should probably have one of these premium players like Son, Salah, Haaland, or De Bruyne maybe.
I see.
But this could work also. I mean, I like spreading the cash a bit more also, but maybe then I would choose Robo in defense and maybe Chilwell. Go for the really expensive ones.
Chilwell over James. Like, which one would be better for you, Chilwell or James, and why?
I think I got to look at how they have played so far in the preseason. Have to wait a few weeks more.
Okay.
To see how they have performed. So Chilwell was injured a lot last year, so you have to see if he's really fit. And James sometimes go back and play as a central defender, so could be an issue.
That's true.
But they signed Koulibaly now also, so maybe you don't have to do that work anymore.
That's true. They've signed Koulibaly. They've also signed Jules Koundé. Apparently, is going to Chelsea. Maybe it's he's choosing between Chelsea and Barcelona, and Chelsea are in the driving seat to get Koundé, who's a very good defender. He's not very tall, but he's very, very combative, and he's very silky with the ball. So I mean, that would be a good signing for them.
Yeah.
But okay, the next one, the last one.
Maddison, I like also. Sorry, but
yeah, Maddison, yes, because he does he take set pieces for Leicester?
Yeah, I think he takes a lot of corners and free kicks also.
Okay,
and he did was well really last good year. At the end of last year. He was excellent, I think.
Okay, okay, so that's a good one to bear in mind. And the last team I've got, the logic behind the last team is to have no stars in defence so that I could spend more money elsewhere. So I've still got Allison in goal, but no premium defenders. So I've gone for Cash at 5 million, Trippier 5 million, James again at 6 million, Kieran Tierney and Nico Williams. So my defence is 5 million, 5 million, 6 million, 5 million, and 4 million. So there you go. Allowing a midfield to be Bernardo, Luis Diaz, Mahrez, Salah, and Pedro Neto, who I mentioned before. It's got a very good run in terms of fixtures. Although, do Wolves score enough goals? I don't know. And then up front, you've got Haaland and Jesus, so I can change my formation. And I also have, the traditional dog. This time I've gone for Luke Plange, just because I like his name.
Why not?
So what do you think of this team in comparison to the others?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Tierney is so injury prone. I'm a bit hesitant about him. But I like that you have 3 attackers from Man City, because they have pretty good fixtures coming up in the beginning of the season also, and you just have to need to have the courage to pick players from City, I think.
Yes, in case they don't start. Yes.
Yeah,
But you're saying,
maybe you should have a better bench if you have a lot of City players, so that you have someone covering on your bench in that case.
Yes.
But
Okay.
I guess you have that in this team. You could have two pretty good defenders as on your bench probably,
Yeah.
or Neto on your bench. So yeah.
Yeah, it could go 3-5-2, could go 4-4-2. You can do a little bit with this team. You've got a little bit of, or 4-5-1. You've got a little bit of leeway. But I mean, but from what you were saying earlier, I think it would be better to get the real value in defence, right? Instead of packing the midfields, maybe I should pack the defence with all, Cancelo, Trent, and Robertson, because they're all going to represent the best value for money, and maybe drop Big Mo.
Yeah, I think they are, Cancelo and Trent are essential. I would say that you really need to have those guys.
Wow. Okay, great.
I'm afraid
so.
But yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. These are great things. So I'm gonna go through my team now, and we can pick one together. So I know. So I mean, the one I've gone for, I don't know. You maybe see it, but I mean, it's I've gone for Jose Sarr in goal, because Wolves are playing. Who are they playing? Wolves have got Leeds and then Fulham before they play Tottenham. And I think neither Leeds nor Fulham are going to score many goals. So I put Sarr in goal. Although I know at the end of last season, Wolves didn't do so bad. I didn't do so well, right? And Jose Sarr was letting in more goals. What do you think about him in goal? Do you think that's good because he's playing Leeds and Fulham, or do you think maybe there's better value out there?
Yeah,
because for the same price,
really
I can have
consider
Mendy.
him so much. I'm also haven't thought about Wolves so much since they were so poor at the end of last season. But
okay, so for the same price, I'll go with Mendy then, because they're playing Everton, and if there's any team that's not going to score, it's Everton without Richarlison.
If I think Conte should really get his defense together now, the second season. So I think Mendy is a better choice actually, or maybe Raya in Brentford, perhaps. If we want a 4.5 keeper.
I see. Yeah, okay. Well, no, I'm going to go with Mendy at 5 million. But you mentioned Conte, but it's not Lloris. I mean, you mean Tuchel? Tommy Tuchel? What do you mean? What was the?
Oh yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's Friday. That's okay. Friday evening. It's been a long week. That's okay. No worries. So I'm going to stick with Mendy and an absolute. I've just got Matthews. I don't even know who he is. Remy Matthews of Crystal Palace is my second goalkeeper. You're okay with that? Just the cheapest ones at 4 million. Okay. Then my defense then. So I've got Cash, Trippier, Cancelo, Trent, and Nico Williams. So I need to take one of them out to put Robbo in. Okay. So Cash, Trippier, Cancelo, Alexander-Arnold, and Nico Williams. Which one should I take out to put Robbo? Cash or Trippier?
I like Trippier, maybe.
You like Trippier?
I like Trippier, but maybe we should take him out because he was injured, and I'm a bit unsure of his fitness.
Okay, so now I've got Cash, Robertson, Cancelo, Trent, and Nico Williams. That's good. I'm happy with that. Are you happy with that? Yeah, I like it too. Okay, great. Okay, and then in midfield, as it stands, I've got Bernardo, Bruno Guimaraes, Martinelli, Salah, and Bowen. Now, you don't like Martinelli, we said, and you're absolutely right. You need to take him out. But I've also got up front Darwin, Jesus, and Plange. But do you think the best advice up front is to have 2 dogs and 1 premium player? Because that would help, probably.
Yeah. I always end up doing it like that. I've tried to pick 2 attackers, but maybe if you bring in Darwin, then it could work with 2 attackers. Like,
Well, no,
so,
but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna take your advice and not go for Darwin yet, because even if his price goes up, which it will, because he's gonna bang in the goals, he might not start the season. So yeah, okay. So I'm gonna go with Harry Kane as my striker. Okay. And I need to save, and then I'm taking out Martinelli, but I need to save. I've gone 0.5 million over my budget. So I've got a midfield of Bernardo, Bruno Guimaraes, so that's 7 million and 6 million respectively. Martinelli, he's going in the bin anyway, but he's 6 million. Salah's 13 million, and Bowen is 8.5 million. So should I take out Mo Salah and replace him with Luis Diaz, for example? Because I've got one more Liverpool player I'm allowed.
Yeah, it could work.
But Salah's the best. He's the best player in the game, though.
He looks lethal, I think, and he's fully rested now after the summer. So
Gotta keep
I really
Mo in
want
there.
Salah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take out Bowen then, or I can take out Martinelli and replace him with someone for 5.5 million maximum.
Yeah, I've got a Villa player at 5.0. Leon Bailey. He didn't do much last year, but I think he could maybe do something this year. He's been looking good at preseason, I heard.
Oh, good. So they're playing Bournemouth away, Everton at home, and Crystal Palace away, Aston Villa. So yeah, Leon Bailey is a great idea. He's 5 million. So there we go. So I've got Bernardo. I like Bernardo as a player, not as a man. So Bernardo is a great player. Bruno Guimaraes I'm going to keep because I think he scored an average of 5.5 points per game for Newcastle last season. So he's only 6 million. So I think he's good value. Bailey's at 5 million. Mo Salah 13 million. And that gives me a bank of 9 million. So my last midfielder, shall I stick with Jared Bowen? 8.5 million, 25 years old, but the first game is against Manchester City, or shall I go for someone else?
Yeah, I really like Bowen actually also, and I think he scored 2 against City last year.
Oh wow!
In the final game. So I like Bowen, and then we still have 0.5 to use in case we need to upgrade a player for game week 2.
Because there were some pretty good deals. Let me just go through a quick list there before we decide definitively on Bowen. Because I've got, if we want to keep some money in the bank, then we want something for 8.5 million or less. Okay, so got Bowen's on 8.5 million, or you can have for 8 million, you can have all of these players: Saka, Mount, Maddison. I can't have Luis Diaz because I've already got 2 Liverpool players. Mahrez, Foden, Kulusevski, who could be very interesting because Spurs are starting the season against Southampton, who I think are going to be awful. Gundogan, Sancho, Coutinho, Zaha, Barnes, Grealish, Odegaard, Trossard, playing Manchester United. They're rubbish. Tielemans. I think they're all the most interesting ones, apart from maybe Sam Maxima, who was playing against Nottingham Forest in the first game. I don't know. Does any from that long list interest you more than Jared Bowen?
Yeah, I like Kulusevski is great, I think, and they have pretty good fixtures also.
Southampton,
Spurs,
Chelsea, and Wolves. They're starting.
It's
off
just
against.
that annoying Chelsea game that ruins it a bit, but Saka has even better fixtures. So
Crystal Palace, Leicester, and Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So would you suggest Saka? I mean, Maddison as well. They've got Brentford, Arsenal, and Southampton. 2 of those are at home.
Yeah, it's a tough choice between Maddison, Saka, and Bowen. I think.
Okay.
You could go either way, I think.
We can go either way. I'm going to ask Stephanie because she's here. I don't know if she's listening. Stephanie, because Stephanie doesn't like football, but we share the same studio, and she's often very patient.
Okay.
Who would you choose? Stephanie does not watch football, so she doesn't know who any of these people are. I'm going to give you 3 names, Stephanie. Saka, from Arsenal, Maddison from Leicester, or Kulusevski from Spurs. You can choose one of them. Which one do you choose? Or you can just say A, B, or C if you've forgotten the names. You've forgotten.
I'll say A, B, or C. Which one's better? Which one's better?
Well, you choose. Yeah, you tell me which one's better. Now, Saka, Maddison, or Kulusevski?
Yeah, first one.
The first one, Saka. Okay, well, there you go. It's done. Stephanie says Saka from Arsenal is in the team. So, okay. So that gives a team of at the back. This is all with keeping 1 million in the bank. So it's a lot of leeway as well. So at the back, we've got Mendy in goal. Shall I change that now because we've got 1 million? Shall I change that for Edison? Because I've only got 2 Man City players.
Can we listen to the defenders first, maybe?
Okay, yeah, all right. So Mendy in goal with Matthews next to him. The defenders are Cash, Robertson, Cancelo, Alexander-Arnold, and Nico Williams. The midfielders are Bernardo, Bruno Guimaraes, Leon Bailey, Mo Salah, and Bukayo Saka, thanks to Stephanie. And up front, we've got Kane, Dwight Gale, and Plange. Kane plus 2 dogs.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Shall I spend another 0.5 million and put Edison in goal, or do you think that's good enough? Mendy's opening fixture is against Everton. They're surely not going to score a clean sheet, but then the second one is against Tottenham, and then Leeds. Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whereas,
I think maybe Ederson could be a good choice there instead.
Edison could be better because Manchester City, they have West Ham and then Bournemouth and Newcastle. So Edison's a better bet at the back.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Okay. Wow. There you go.
It just feels a bit wrong to have 1 million in the bank. So
okay. Well,
maybe that's the reason.
Excellent stuff. Okay. Well, there you go. I think we're done. I'm going to put the team on the screen. Oops, there you go. Take off that filter. And I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I have to solo.
Great stuff. Yeah, I like it.
There you go.
Yeah.
You like it. So Edison, Nico Williams, Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo, Robertson, and Cash, Bernardo, Bruno Guimaraes, Bailey, Salah, and Saka, and up front, Harry Kane and 2 dogs.
Yeah.
I think our work on this planet is done. I think we're done for the FPL. Let us know any comments as well. Alan asked a question before, a technical question. Do you need a computer to do stuff like free hits and triple captain? He couldn't figure it out on his phone. You can do it on your phone. I think what you do is you do the transfer as normal, but before you press confirm on the transfer, there's an option to hit free hit. Is that right? As I remember, Nicholas, do you remember?
Yeah, that's right.
To do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how you do it. So you do a transfer as normal, but when you go to the next screen, before you hit confirm, then you can play free hit and triple captain, that kind of thing. Great question. I'll just have a look. I think that's all of it for the questions. Okay. Well, very good. Anything else? Or I think we've covered many bases. I think we've done very well.
Yeah, I think so. I'm all good. So it's been great talking to you about FPL.
I can't thank you enough for all these absolutely fabulous tips from our FPL champion. From it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you. Yeah, quick word from Doug as well. Yeah, the news, just breaking news, is that David Moores has passed away, the old chairman of Liverpool. R.I.P. to him. Exactly. And condolences to all of his loved ones. Yeah, that's very sad news for today. But I hope this episode has helped you pick your FPL team. Everybody who's listening, it certainly helped me. And you can all copy my team if you want to, I don't know, have exactly the same points as me. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you very much, Nicholas, and have a great day and enjoy, the rest of the weekend. I hope that the climate change, we can all get together and fight it, together, plant some trees, do all the good stuff that we need to do.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Well, thanks very much. And I'll speak to you soon. And thanks to everybody watching and everybody listening. You'll never walk alone.